Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Reality Derby. I am Marcus James Dixon.
I'm Denton Davidson, and Jeff Probst today.
Yeah,
Breaking news.
big. This is a big get.
So exciting interview with him. He's talking Emmys season 49 and the big season 50.
Yeah, he is actually nominated for Best Reality Host and Best Reality Competition Program. And he talks about crying on camera for the first time with Eva and Joe back in Survivor 48.
A big moment. That was a pop culture moment.
So we'll get to Jeff in just a couple seconds, and then Denton and I are going to be rehashing Big Brother, the elimination of Jimmy, and the next week 5 of Big Brother, which is already off to a lovely start. So, okay, let's talk to Jeff Probst, and then we'll see you on the other side. You received 2 Emmy nominations for the 2025 Emmys for hosting and for producing Survivor on CBS. What was your reaction to that news?
A little surprised. Our history with the Emmys is interesting in that Survivor won the very first Emmy in this category, and then we went almost 2 decades without even being nominated. And then I won the first 4 as host, and then was never nominated again either. So there was a certain point where we thought, okay, we got love from the Emmys. They showed us, they saw us. And now there are so many other good shows in the genre that I kind of thought we'd never hear from them again. So it was a real surprise, totally an honor, because when your peers recognize your work, that's very different than a fan who watches every week. That means a lot more to us. Our cinematographers got nominated. It means a lot to them. So I'm happy to be just in the conversation. We're still here.
This is actually the first time you're nominated for series, for series and for host at the same time. Because as you said, there have been so many years where the show was overlooked. Why do you think the stars aligned this year in particular? It was season 47 and 48 that are eligible.
It's a good question. I really don't know. There's something about Survivor. I've been thinking about this lately. When Survivor first hit, it was really the first big show of the genre. And so I think the assumption would be that all shows in this unscripted reality competition would kind of be like Survivor. But really, if you look at all the shows, we're the outlier, because most of the shows have a bigger presence. They have a shiny floor, or a runway, or a constructed house, or the hosts take on these incredibly entertaining, almost alter ego personalities sometimes. And it's Survivor that sits out here. We're still doing that same thing. We're just dropping people in the jungle and getting out of the way. So I don't know why this year. I mean, we had 2 really good seasons. We had a monumental moment in Survivor 48, but I don't know if that's it. Maybe it's cyclical. Maybe there's something about the comfort and nostalgia of Survivor that's rearing its head again. But we're happy.
I think it's all of that, and I think it was maybe the Eva Joe moment that really connected with people at home, possibly connected with Emmy voters. I know one of my coworkers who stopped watching Survivor years ago, she was like, oh, I saw that moment where Jeff, got emotional for Eva and Joe. So it did kind of permeate itself outside of the Survivor bubble.
That's a really good observation. And maybe it is just a moment that reminds people, or they say that moment alone is worthy of me giving you a little attention. What was great about that moment for us was it really personified what we're trying to do, which is take real people in a very messy environment, in a real jungle, no script, no retakes, no nothing, no nudging, just do, and we'll just watch. And then you have this moment where these 2 people who weren't extraordinary humans in some big sense, they were extraordinary because they were so ordinary. They were so real. And all they did was just come together, and one person looked out for the other. And I think what I did best as a host in this moment is I knew to stay out of the way. That's sometimes the best move, is to be smart enough to know you're only going to mess this up, Probst. So just get away. And then, because I'm a parent, it did get to me. And there was no way that wasn't going to be in the show, because I try to live by the same standards that we hold our players to. My grammar's all over the place. I say things I regret 5 minutes after I said them. But the editors all know that for this to feel real, I also have to be somewhat vulnerable. So seeing myself cry, it's not the prettiest cry. My kids laughed. They laughed and laughed and laughed at how ridiculous I looked. But I did tell them it was an honest moment. I mean, I was thinking of you two, and I was hoping somebody would do that for one of you. And that's what Survivor can do when you bring people from totally different walks of life. And Mark, the thing is, you force them to do one thing, rely on each other while they're conspiring against each other. And that first part is what sets Survivor apart from all other shows in this genre.
It made me wonder because we don't really see tribe members kind of cross tribal lines a lot. Is there
Yeah.
a rule that they have to stick on their mat?
Yeah, there is. It's a something that we don't talk about on the show, but the players all know. And the reason is you are separate. You are competing against each other. But if you can see each other and somehow you've got a signal pattern, tug on my ear and cough twice, and that tells the other person something, that's totally great. Or if in the middle of a challenge, you want to yell something. But what we try to do is just keep them separate. So while that probably doesn't seem like a big deal that I said, Joe, why don't you go over? In our construct, it is a big deal. And what was great was I didn't have to ask permission. I knew everybody saw what was happening, and nobody would have made any other decision than to say, please go give her some comfort.
You mentioned the cinematography nomination, and also I wanted to highlight casting was nominated. The casting on Survivor is so good that other reality shows sort of borrow your castaways. We won't mention them. Some of them are great shows. How do you feel when you see your survivors pop up elsewhere?
I'll start by saying that Jesse Tannenbaum runs our casting team, and we have a team, but he is a great leader. And we sat down during COVID and said, we're going to change. We're just going to start over. We had a break because we couldn't shoot. Let's just relook at the show. And we reimagined it. I reimagined it through Joseph Campbell. And then we reimagined our casting. Let's start over and imagine that we want absolute real diversity, not just in quotes. We want diversity, not just of ethnicity or country of origin, but also birth order or how are you raised, all these things. Jesse and his team, they just know how to do it. They can tell so quickly if you have that authentic part of you that will share your story. And initially, when I saw Survivor players showing up on other shows, I was pretty vocal. I was like, man, that's interesting. In fact, one show won the best casting Emmy. And we had people from our show. And I said to Jesse, how does that feel to you? And Jesse was cool because he said, it's an honor. He said, we spend a lot of time and we spend a lot of money. We cast for almost 10 months to find 30 or 40 people. Now I have a different feeling. I'm embarrassed that I was upset about it because it's really, I have nothing to do with it. It's not my say. And I see why other shows would want these people. They're fascinating. They're compelling. They're great storytellers. So now I feel completely different. And I also feel like if you're a former Survivor player and another show will pay you to come do their show, absolutely. They'll make that money because you're entertaining. They're smart to want you. So it's all good now. This goes back to the authenticity. I try to be authentic in my interviews to give a real answer because that's the show I'm a part of. That's how I felt initially. I was very protective. I'm not as protective now. It doesn't mean I don't cherish our players, but it does mean I don't have any right to say what they do after they do Survivor.
Well, this year was the 25th anniversary of Survivor. And by the way, I've been there since day one. I remember watching the pilot. I was in high school. I went to school the next day and I'm like, you guys have to watch this show. It has the best music. I was obsessed with the music.
Wow.
And of course,
that's a nice nod to our music.
Yeah, Russ
Landau and David Vanacore.
I remember Sonia playing the ukulele, Richard up in the tree. What goes through your mind when you think of that number, 25 years?
It really sneaks up on you. It's like I remember my dad, who is 87 now, and he said, one day goes, Jeff, I'm going to tell you something. It won't make sense to you now, but it will one day. You don't know you're the old guy until you are. And he told me this story. He goes, I just realized I'm that guy now. That's how I feel about Survivor. Not that I'm the old guy, although I am, but that you don't know you've hit 25 years until you're there. You're not trying to get there. It's crazy when I think that we started in the summer of 2000 and we're now in 2025. But it doesn't feel like that. It feels like one step at a time. And I know this might sound cliche, but I'm telling you, this is the truth. We have never really never looked ahead. The only time we ever looked ahead was season 50, and that was Matt Van Wagenen, one of our executive producers, a big part of the show. He said, I think we can get to 50. And even that made me kind of go, dude, why are we talking about this? We're on 41 right now. But so we don't think of it that way, but it feels incredible. And here's what feels best. I feel like we're getting better. During COVID, we made a concerted effort to change the gameplay. So we changed the format. But in terms of Joseph Campbell, we really said, let's lean into the stories that we're asking our players to show us, because we're much more vulnerable now. Some people say Survivor's too soft, or they'll say it's woke. I don't see it that way at all. I still got an edge. Ask my team. But yes, I'm okay and looking for inspiration and aspirational stories, because I want kids and families to feel safe watching Survivor. I also want them to feel good. I love meeting a 7-year-old who says, I'm going to be on the show one day. And I go, I look forward to snuffing your torch. And then they go, no, we have this instant rapport. So the 25 years feels weird, but it feels incredible. And the last thing I'll say about it, CBS lets us make this show. It's what's crazy. They continue to say, sometimes they'll say this, they'll say, really? That's what you want to do? Okay. And that freedom is incredible. And that goes all the way back to Mark Burnett hiring me as the host and trusting me to follow my instincts versus putting an earpiece in my ear and making me listen to it, so that trust goes a long way.
Looking back at, the 25 years, do you ever find yourself binging the old seasons? They're on Paramount Plus. I have the DVDs. I'm sure a lot of fans do. Or do you kind of, want to just focus on the future?
I don't go back and watch very often. Sometimes I do for reference, but it's weird your timing of this question, because 4 days ago, I went back and watched the first episode for a reason. I wanted to see what I said at Tribal Council the first time. And what blew my mind is it's almost verbatim what I still say 25 years later. And I thought I was going to be really embarrassed by the first season, but I wasn't. I was captivated, not of myself, but I mean of the show. I was captivated, and I was reminded this is why it struck a chord. And there are camera operators in the shots. We're all over the place because we're trying to find it in real time. What is the show? What is that person saying to that person? Wait, that should be a 2-shot. They're having a conversation to come together, and you can see the camera operators figuring out this is how we're going to tell the story visually. And then Vanacore and Landau get a hold of it musically, and they go, tribal drums and fire and chanting, and this is how we'll bring it to life this way. And then you see the first interview, and somebody says, here's what I'm going to do. You're like, oh, I think we got a show. So I think I should go back now and watch more to be reminded of where we've come from, and also to see if there's anything we've left behind that we need to go grab again.
Well, looking ahead, we have season 49. It premieres September 24th. What could audiences expect from this new season?
It's funny. Every season of Survivor is exactly the same and completely different.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so fun, even for me. What was unique about this season in terms of Fiji was it was hot. Fiji's always hot. This ranks as one of the hottest seasons we've ever done. It's like China hot. And I'm sweating through my shirts. I'm having trouble remembering things. We're just now starting to edit it, but I think it's going to come out in the show. That additional cognitive decline is fast. And you'll see it at Tribal when I say to somebody early on, what's your name? And they say, don't tell me, I know. And it hit so hard. And what was interesting is it connected to a sense of humor. And I wondered as it was happening, are they just kind of losing their minds? And is that why they're just so funny? But there's definitely a fun sense of humor. And the other thing that's interesting about 49 is they were aware, because they asked me, have you finished casting 50 yet? And I said, no. It's in a state of flux. We're trying to figure out, which we were trying to figure out 18, 20, 21, 24. How many players are we going to do this with? And you could see all of them almost at the same moment go, got a shot. I could be on 50. And I think that added, obviously, a little incentive to go for it, which is what we say to the players. We say the same phrase, play the first time as though you're playing for the second, because great players don't say woulda, coulda, shoulda. They get voted out all the time. Great players never win this game, but they play. And that's what you're looking for. And this group plays. They came in and they play, and it's a hard run for them in the beginning. It evens out a little later. The weather dies down, but I think fans are going to really like this group. And then it's a setup for 50, because we've announced that 2 of these players end up on 50.
Yeah, I can't wait to see who that is. And I had one question about 50 before we go. How were you able to get Mike White back to the island? I mean, he's super famous now. He's got his Emmys.
Yeah.
The White Lotus is one of the most popular shows on TV. Was he an easy get, or was that a hard get?
No, Mike was an easy get in that it was his idea. And I don't even know if I would have had the courage to ask him. We are friends. We knew each other before he was on Survivor. And I was grateful when he's on Survivor, because he's the best storyteller we've ever had. And it's funny, I've answered the question of why did he come back? And he texted me, he goes, that's not it, man. Here's why I came back. And I'll let him speak for himself. But really, it's what makes Mike so interesting. I don't have any friends like him. On one hand, he's super peculiar. And what makes him so interesting is because he's so peculiar. He's so specific. He's so earnest. He's so authentic. He's a very loyal friend to me, but he will tell me everything that's wrong about Survivor. He can do both. So I'm guessing it has to do with Mike doesn't get trapped by convention. And just because I might have won an Emmy or my show's getting a lot of notoriety doesn't mean I don't want to go do this show Survivor. And I hope he brings more industry people back, because storytelling is, I know I'm bragging, storytelling is pretty damn good on Survivor. And it's going to be great having Mike White back out there.
Okay, that was Jeff Probst from Survivor. What was your big takeaway, Denton?
Well, it's always fun to listen to him talk Emmys, because that's what we do here. But my big takeaway from this is I've been saying for weeks on multiple shows that I was annoyed with Jeff for him being annoyed with other Survivor contestants going on different competing reality shows. And he has finally conceded that and says he was wrong. Maybe he listens. I don't know.
Maybe he's a big fan of yours.
But I liked hearing that. He should be happy for them, and now he seems to realize that is the case.
I mean, he should feel like a proud papa. I mean, the casting department on Survivor is really exceptional, and it's so good that the other shows like The Traitors and House of the Villains, they borrow the Survivor castaways. Like that's something he should be proud of.
It says something about their casting, and that, I mean, they're casting original cast members, and other reality shows are just stealing from their pot.
So he said that season 49 of Survivor is going to be the hottest season ever. And he's not talking about, the looks of the castaways. He's talking about the temperature and the sun. So I can't wait to see that. I'm like a torture porn fan. I want to see people struggling.
Musty.
And then Survivor 50, he talked about Mike White. So yeah, I did want to know, was Mike White an easy get or a hard get? And he said it was an easy get.
I mean, he can't really satisfy my questions here, because he says Mike is the ultimate storyteller, which we know now from the White Lotus and everything else. But he said, so it's great to have his storytelling back out on Survivor, but it makes you question how much story are we getting? I mean, how long is Mike White going to be out there? Because I think when the cast was announced, we both agreed he'd probably be gone first.
Yeah.
But maybe not.
I mean, I think you had a theory later that was like, everyone's going to keep Mike White on the show so that they can get the guest spot on the White Lotus season 4. So maybe that's something we didn't consider at the time.
I would be sucking up to Mike White if I was out on the beach with nothing else going on.
I would be sucking up to Mike White and Cirie, because, Cirie's a legend.
But she has no power. Mike White can give you a job.
Hey, Cirie made it to 5th place on Big Brother. That's power. Speaking of Big Brother, let's talk about Mickey's HOH, where I think we agreed at least she did something different than Lauren the previous week. Lauren's was just so boring, but Mickey's was kind of weird.
Lauren, I can't still believe is on the show. I still have barely seen her. When they did the vote on Thursday, when she popped into the voting booth, I was like alarmed. Like, who is that?
Someone broke into the house.
Mickey's HOH was a mess. Like, let's get real. She was my favorite player of the season up until this point, and now she has downgraded severely. I'm not as impressed with her. A huge mistake. She literally eliminated someone who was never going to go after her and who was in her final 3 alliance in order to protect people who hate her.
And it's not like we're at the final 6. There were a lot of options for her once Keanu came off the block. And she picked one of her top 3 allies. Mickey, what are you doing?
She should have just gone straight back right after Riley. I mean, he was mad at her. He's never going to get over it. And she should have just been like, you're going to just stay my target.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's proving that he could be difficult to get rid of as well. So
the one thing I wanted to talk about from Mickey's HOH was what happened during the live show. When Ashley goes into the voting booth, she votes to evict Jimmy. And then she comes out and Will, I guess, convinces her in the hallway that she did the wrong thing. She runs back in, tries to switch her vote to Kelly. And Julie Chen... This is like the perfect example of Julie Chen Moonves being Chenbot.
yeah,
She's like, no. It was so funny. I've watched that clip probably 20 times.
I mean, everyone online now is just talking about how the fact that Ashley's a lawyer and she's like probably like accidentally saying I plead guilty, and then she's like, no, I mean not guilty, and the judge is like, no.
I love that.
I mean, Ashley, she's not the favorite of people when you like read certain comments, but on Twitter or X, whatever, she is the favorite. Like everyone loves her. I mean, they're getting her reactions because she's sort of this stir of chaos,
Unintentionally.
and she's like a genius accidentally. Like she has terrible ideas, and then they like manifest and come true. There's just something magic about Ashley, and she's quickly becoming one of my favorites.
She's already iconic.
Yeah.
Like if they do an All-Stars in the future, she needs to come back. I mean, remember Showergate alone? She went iconic for that. And now this vote redo, trying to do her vote again, that'll go down in the Big Brother history books.
But now she's friends with Rachel, and that is a death sentence. And all of Rachel's friends go home. First it was Amy, and then, of course, like Jimmy last week. Getting my names confused. Jimmy. And now Ava became HOH. That was a surprise. They acted like, when you watch the live feeds, they're like, oh yeah, like Ava won something. She really just wasn't picked until the end. Like it just sort of fell in her lap a little bit. Like she barely had to try.
She won 2 of those head-to-head matchups.
Yeah.
She won the one against Will, and then she won the one against
final one.
And then before that against Riley. And it's like, that's it. You win 2 matchups and you win HOH.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Good for her.
But then she was gonna put up Ashley,
Which blew my mind.
who is blissfully unaware of that, by the way, and would have been blindsided and shocked because Ashley in no way is going after Ava at all. And so Ava's like this like middle person who's in a really good alliance with Rachel, and then Rachel's best friend now is Ashley. So Ashley was never gunning for Rachel. Mickey is also close to Ashley, and Mickey and Will talked Ava out of nominating Ashley and going with Zach instead.
Right. And also Keanu for the 4th time in a row, and Zach you just mentioned Zach. Vince for the first time.
Who's been asking for it. I'm so glad to see Vince on the block. He's a good player, and I enjoy
player.
that.
Yeah,
but it was getting a little repetitive. Like Kelly on the block again. It's like, come on, like somebody do something. So to have Ava just put up the 3 arguably strongest male players was a lot more fun.
I am a big Vince fan. I hope he survives the week because he is a game player and he's a gamer, and he'd be good on The Traitors.
I just can't with the crying. It's like, get over it.
But at least they clocked that it was fake crying.
That made me feel much better. At least. But Rachel wasn't buying it. I do like the dynamic between Vince and Rachel because they have like this sort of love-hate, mostly hate relationship. And I feel like Rachel's just dying to explode on someone, but she's been containing it all summer. Like, she kind of lost it on Keanu with the Pee Bandit.
The Pee Bandit, our new. So Big Brother has gone from Showergate to Pee Bandit. And if you didn't watch the Friday episode, that's where it was revealed on Unlocked with Taylor and Derek. So we've been talking about the Pee Bandit all week long. So we need more of that. Keanu, pee more, please, on the floor. Thank you.
Well, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. There's not more pee, but there was the veto and then the veto meeting. So the veto winner was Catherine.
Okay, there you go.
So
Exciting.
I don't know what the veto was, but
I do.
great.
I know what the veto was. It was like the white elephant one, where there's going to be prizes, there's going to be punishments, and so I mean we could go through that if we want to talk about who gets what, who has to wear what costume.
Right. So that's why on the live feed, Vince has been walking around as an egg.
A hard-boiled egg on a stool, and he can't walk, I guess. They have to push him sliding around. Keanu is the butler. He has to cook food for everybody. Zach and Rachel have had to be together somehow, tied up, I'm not sure, but for 8 hours straight, they were in a punishment together.
I don't know if I'd want Keanu cooking my food. In our last exit interview, Jimmy said Keanu's the dirtiest person in the house, got dirt all over his feet, never wore shoes, didn't shower, and barely washed his hands.
So just don't eat Keanu's food. And then the prizes were the veto for Catherine. Ava got a cash prize, and Will got a trip to London.
Okay, well, then they had the veto meeting.
Yes.
Congratulations, Will. He got the best prize. So Catherine chose not to use the power of veto. There was a lot of speculation about who the renom would be. A lot of people were pushing for Morgan to be a renom. And then, so Zach is left up there with Keanu and Vince, the same original three, but Zach has this power. He's got this $10,000 prize. He can trade it in and take himself off the block.
From week one.
From week one, he has chosen not to use his power.
You're kidding.
Not to use his
I
power.
thought you were going to tease me and say that he did. So
No.
he didn't use it.
No, which I think is probably wise. I think he's very safe against Keanu and Vince. Even if he loses the blockbuster, I can't see him. I mean, he might be more vulnerable against Keanu if they're really gunning for him, but I don't think so.
I think Rachel is going to try to influence everyone to get Vince out. This could
She
be
is.
Vince's but what if Vince wins blockbuster? Then it's
Keanu will probably go.
Okay,
I
so
think Zach
Zach's-
has too many friends, but I think it's probably going to be Vince or Keanu that goes. And I know they're targeting Vince, but he has a lot of friends too.
I don't know. Do you think Zach made a mistake?
No, I think it was a risk because nothing's guaranteed, but I don't think he necessarily made a mistake. I think he's the safest of the three.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll see on Thursday if he made a mistake or not. I think if you have the power, you might as well use it.
He might just be thinking, if I'm going to go home, at least I have $10,000.
Imagine going home pre-jury, though. That's so embarrassing.
I know. That's what makes Vince want to cry.
I can't believe Rachel has survived another week in the house. It's really unbelievable. She hasn't even seen the block yet.
No, she hasn't even really been at risk.
That's crazy.
She would have. I mean, it's all about the HOH. Mm-hmm. Keanu really needs to figure out what he's doing because he could work with Rachel.
Yeah.
He has this phantom alliance with Zach and Vince who have no appreciation for him at all.
Is it the Burger Boys leftovers?
Like, nobody wants to work with him. And he should go with the women. He should go with Mickey, Ashley, and Rachel, because not only would they be accepting of him as a number, but he could also beat them in physical competitions much more easy than Zach.
So this already this week is more exciting than the show has been in recent weeks.
Yeah, I like the mess.
Yes. Well, thank you everybody for watching Reality Derby. We will be back next week with more drama.